Hello, this is Mary with Mango Math, and I'm here with Millie to give a lesson tutorial out of our 5th grade math kit. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Mango Math. Square data is a great activity and game to play, and you can play with 2 students to a whole classroom. This game has one person coming up with a square in which they're coloring it in a specific format. And so, for example, you can have students working on a 3x3 grid or a 4x4 grid. And the student that's going to create the square is going to do it in secret so that the other players cannot see it. So they could do it behind a box or behind a book or someplace where the other students cannot see what they're doing. So let's say the students are going to start with a 3x3 grid as they're just learning how to play the game. And I'm going to distinguish this 3x3 grid with this pink line. All right, so the player can either use the colored tiles that are provided, or they can take the dry erase marker that's provided and write what they want the colors to be on the grid. So let's say they say red, red, yellow, red, blue, yellow, blue, blue, yellow. And they write that on the grid. Now, there's 2 directions to this game. One is that if you have a 3x3 grid, you're going to have 3 colors that are the same 3 times. So I have 3 reds, I have 3 yellows, I have 3 blues. I have red, yellow, blue, 3 colors. If I had a 4x4 grid, I would have to add another color, be it green, and I would have to add an extra amount of colors. So I would have to have 4 greens, 4 yellows, 4 reds, 4 blues. All right. So the students can write it on there. They can also use the tiles, as I said, and they can place it on the board like this. Now, there is the one rule that they have 3 colors. If you have a 3x3 grid, you have 3 colors, each color 3 times. The other rule is that the colors that are the same must match on a side, meaning they have to touch 2 sides together. So this touches, this one on the left touches this one on the right, this one on the bottom touches this one on the top. If they are like this and they are touching on the corners, this doesn't work. You cannot have 2 of the same color only touching on the corners. They have to be touching on the sides. So this one, the students cannot create a grid with their colors that looks like this. So as this board is hidden and the students can't see it, the other students and players are going to try to guess where each color goes. So the first person who guesses can guess any place on the board. They are going to guess either a row, or they're going to ask for information about a row or a column. So they can say to the person who created the grid, what is on the bottom row? So we want kids to know rows and we want them to know columns. So they'll ask, what's on the bottom row? Now that player will give them the information. They don't have to put it in the right order. They're just going to give them the information, and they are going to write it to the side. This says 1 yellow and 2 blues. So that's all the information that they're given. So you ask the students, can you guess what goes in each square? Well, one student might say, well, it goes yellow, blue, blue. And the other student would respond, that's not correct. Then the student, you say, I want to know for certain. I don't want guesses. I want to know what square goes where for certain. So some of the students might just pass and say, I don't know where any of these goes, because it could go yellow, blue, blue, or it can go blue, blue, yellow. But one student might recognize that I'm saying blue twice and that 2 blues have to touch on a side. So this middle one has to be a blue. As I said, it could be blue, blue, yellow, or it could be yellow, blue, blue. So that this square would have to be a blue. So hopefully students will use deduction and come up with that reasoning. So now we know what's in this square, hopefully. Then you can ask what row or column do students want more information about. And let's say someone says, I want the middle column. So that player would say, okay, in the middle column, I have a red and 2 blues. So now that student might say, oh, I know that this is a blue, so this one in the middle must be a blue. That means the top one is red. So you have it so far, and you can write that in if they're correct in the right spots. You want them to justify what they're thinking and why they're thinking it. So once you have this information, can you go back to this clue and determine what goes here? Does that help us with this row? And it doesn't, because I could still have blue, blue, yellow, or I could have yellow, blue, blue. So we don't know what's going on in that last column or last row. So then another student can ask for more information on any one of these rows or columns. So let's say they ask for this first row. So I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to distinguish our area with this pink box so that you can tell what we're working on. So the next player might say, I want to know what's in that first row. So the person who created the grid can write down and say, this one has 1 yellow, 2 reds. And once again, you can ask, do you know what goes in any of these squares? And as yet, we don't know, because we could be red, red, yellow, or yellow, red, red. So they don't know yet. So we're going to have to get more information. So let's say somebody says, well, I want to know what's in that third column. And the player would write down 3 yellows. So now they definitely know that this is all yellow. So now you try to see if they can figure out the rest of the grid. And we can look and say, this one cannot be blue because it would divide the 2 reds apart. So this lower row has to be blue. That means this top row, this has to be red, and then this one has to be red. So you use deductive reasoning to come up with what that grid would be and to show that it matches what you had put on your grid. Now, best to start with 3x3s and work on that, and then you can go to 4x4s. You can go up to 5x5s. It becomes a lot more tricky, and you can definitely add another row onto this grid that's provided for you if you want to. Thank you for checking out our video and seeing how to play these great Mango Math games. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for more Mango content, and check out our website at www.mangomath.com.